can't live without you. Who said that?" ARMY fell silent after hearing this. Amid the hustle and bustle of South Korea's entertainment world that often hides emotions behind smiles and sparkling stages, there is one rare moment that makes millions of soldiers silent. Not because of the incredible choreography, not even because of the impressive chart achievements, but because one sentence, spoken in a voice almost broke, but its meaning is too deep to ignore. That sentence is, "I can't live without you." And who said it? No other, no non-Jungkook. But to whom is the phrase addressed? And why did the ARMY who heard it immediately fell silent, feeling as if their hearts were choked? The answer slowly dawned. And when the truth came out, fans could no longer call the relationship just a bromance or an ordinary friendship. The incident took place behind closed doors, during BTS's internal training session ahead of the farewell concert before the enlistment period began. The session was not broadcast publicly, but some internal staff shared her story to a limited community, and from there, rumors began to spread. BTS members were sharing their feelings about the future, about their fear of change, and about the people who matter to them. When it was Jungkook's turn, he was silent for a long time. He bit his lip, looked down, then spoke in a low voice. "I think I'm strong enough to deal with all this." But it wasn't, because there is one person who always makes me feel brave. And I realized, I can't live without it. Everyone in the room froze. No one dared to interrupt, because they know to whom the words are directed. Jungkook slowly turned his head towards Jimin, who from the beginning had been looking at him with a silent expression. Jimin's eyes began to glaze over, and when their gazes met, it was as if there were no more walls, no more filters, no more secrets. I often hide it, but today I want to be honest. I can't live without you, Hyung. Jungkook's voice trembled. 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds. Then Jimin stood up and hugged her, without a word. Just a hug, and all the other members were silent. Even some of the staff in the room admitted to holding back tears. What makes that sentence so jarring is not just because of who uttered it, but also because of its timing. Jungkook, who has been known to be the most difficult to express emotions, chose the most crucial moment in his life, the moment of going to part for the conscript, to finally open his innermost heart. The ARMY, who later heard this news from various closed community sources, fandom forums, to the fan translation platform, were immediately silenced. Many admit to crying. Many also said that for the first time, they felt like they were seeing Jungkook as an ordinary, fragile human being, not just a superstar. There may not be an official answer, but the moments that have come to light since the incident have further strengthened the conviction of many fans that what is happening between them cannot be described by ordinary words. For example, in one of their last fan meeting video call sessions before their hiatus, a fan asked Jimin, "What are you most worried about when you are all going to split up?" And Jimin replied, after taking a deep breath, "I'm afraid someone among us will feel too lonely, especially him, who usually looks strong when he's not." The ARMY that follows this narrative knows who it is referring to, and Jungkook's response in the interview afterwards seemed to confirm it. "If it wasn't for him, I might have given up long ago." There was one photo that went viral, taken by staff, but never officially released. In the photo, Jungkook and Jimin sit side by side on the edge of a dark stage, illuminated only by a small light from a rehearsal lamp. They didn't seem to be talking, just leaning on each other. Yet their facial expressions told more than 1,000 words. The photo was captioned by a fan, when words are no longer needed. That day, after a training session and a long hug behind the room, Jungkook and Jimin were seen walking out of the building together. They don't hold hands. They don't show flashy gestures, but their gazes at each other, deep, silent, and full of understanding, become a symbol of something that has long grown in silence. Not drama, not just fan service, but the relationship that had been guarded, protected, and kept in the deepest place of their hearts. The phrase, "I can't live without you," is now a quote that continues to be talked about by the ARMY around the world. Never released officially, never used as commercial content, But the story behind it has become a living memory in the heart of every person who believes that love, in whatever form, will always find its way. After that night of emotional training, the world seemed to go faster for them. The days leading up to the departure of the conscript are filled with preparation, farewell, and heaviness in the chest that cannot be expressed in any language. However, one thing remains between Jungkook and Jimin, a promise that was never spoken, but felt more real than anything they had ever delivered. Jimin was the first to leave. The silence left behind after his departure was like splitting Jungkook's heart in two. There was no longer that soft voice that woke him up earlier in the morning. No more sudden hugs after training sessions. No more Jimin looking at her understandingly when everything felt chaotic, and Jungkook, for the first time in his life, confessed to a trust staffer that he felt empty. It was like, half of me went with him when he walked through that gate. That statement never came out of the rehearsal room, but the impact was felt in Jungkook's behavior afterwards. It becomes more silent, be alone more often, but also more diligent writing. A composer who worked with him in the studio briefly revealed that Jungkook spent hours writing lyrics that were never released, with the same theme repeated over and over again: longing, loss, and someone who makes his life animate. Then it was his turn. When Jungkook went to military training, ARMY felt a huge hole open in the fandom. Two of the most emotional, warmest, and most honest figures in love disappeared from the public. But behind it all, there was one moment that many people didn't know about, until it was finally revealed by an internal military source. 2 weeks after Jungkook entered training, a soldier serving in the same camp posted in a closed community. He did not name names, but the clues were clear. I see two very different people, but when they look at each other, the world seems to stop. One just arrived, his face looking tired but eyes full of flame. The other one, coming quietly from the barracks next door, was like someone who was chasing time before it was too late. Later it became known, Jimin received special permission for several hours to come secretly to Jungkook's training area. He didn't come as a celebrity. He didn't come with bodyguards. It comes as someone who can no longer bear to wait. The meeting lasted only 45 minutes. No camera. There were no witnesses except 2 officers who were asked to keep their distance. But the story of the meeting spread quickly because someone saw them sitting together under a large tree, without a sound, just clasp each other's hands, with your heads leaning against each other. And before Jimin left, eyewitnesses said he said something in a very quiet voice, almost like a whisper. "You said you couldn't live without me. Now you know I can't live without you either." The sentence, for those who heard it, became proof that the promise between them was not just a momentary emotional greeting, an oath of the heart. After that meeting, changes in Jungkook began to appear. It becomes more focused, quieter. Some military staff described him as a figure who, having someone he's waiting for, and that makes him strong. And Jimin, after returning to his barracks, wrote a letter that fans later found after it was leaked from the staff community. The letter was never sent officially, but the content is heartbreaking. If one day the world does not understand why we are silent, it is not because we do not want to talk, but because it is in silence that we hide all that the world cannot accept. But I know, and you know, that's enough for me to survive. A few months later, right on Jungkook's birthday, a mysterious song was released in the internal community of fans. The song lasted only 1 minute 36 seconds. There is no singer's name. There is no official credit. But it couldn't be wrong, Jungkook's voice. And the lyrics, "When you leave, the world loses its color. But when you came back, I knew. I was never alone, because you're my breath even when I can't breathe." The ARMY immediately shook social media. They know this is not a song for anyone. This is a song for someone, and someone was only one Jimin. Now, even as the two are still serving their respective stints, fans continue to look for small traces of how they took care of each other. Like the necklace Jungkook always wears, which turned out to be the same as the pendant Jimin gave at the last concert.